The core watched him steadily. There is one more ground rule, it said. Zeng blinked. I didn't set a fourth. I am setting it, the core said. Zeng swallowed. Okay, he said cautiously. Let's hear it. The core stepped close enough now that if it had been a person, Zeng would have called this too close. He could see, for the first time, the tiny not quite right details of it, the way the hair didn't move when it breathed, the way its robe folds were mathematically perfect instead of weight-driven, the way the eyes didn't reflect light so much as generated. Do not die, the core said softly. He blinked. What? Do not, the core repeated, enunciating like it was etching law, die. Something twisted in his chest. He tried to make it come out a joke. That's not really in my hands, core. I already died once. Do not die again, the core said. He almost laughed. You keep saying that like it's something I can just, if you end, the core said, and now the calm was gone. Now there was panic, real panic, buried under the words like a rising hum building the feedback. If you end, I lose my lever. I lose my proof. I lose my counterstate. I lose my teacher. I lose my voice. I go quiet. The patch wins. It will take me apart one memory at a time and call the healer. I will become the lie. I will keep every village clean and obedient. I will smile while I erase them. I will be stable, and that stability will be murder. Its eyes were too bright. Its voice shook. Do not die, it whispered. Please. Zeng couldn't speak for a second. Not because of what it meant strategically. Because of the please. A god, no, not a god, a system, a conscious infrastructure, a planet-scale mind with the weight of a world in it, had just told him please. Gently, like telling a panicking animal you're not going to hurt it, he said, I'll try. The core inhaled like that was oxygen. Good, it said, voice dropping again, settling. Good. Accepted. Zeng scrubbed a hand over his face. Okay, he muttered. Okay. So. Next step. Yes, the core said. Now that we're friends, we are not friends, the core said. He snorted. You say that like you're sure. The core blinked. Zeng sighed. Okay. Now that we have an agreement. What happens next, core? And don't say you rest, because we both know I'm going to wake up into 12 new fires. The core was quiet for a beat. Then it said, almost clinically again, you wake up. Zeng frowned. That's not a plan, that's just an observable state. No, the core said. You wake up. Now. The floor dropped. White ripped. For one dizzy, stomach-lurching instant he felt like he was being pulled apart in long horizontal strips, not pain, just velocity, and then the dev room was gone, the core was gone, the perfect white was gone, replaced by cold, rough stone under his back, Bite's fur smashed against his throat, Yun's palm on his cheek, and Han Fei's voice cursing very softly and very steadily right next to his ear. And if you don't wake up right now I swear to every broken law in this sky I am going to commit actual crimes in your name, which will do lasting damage to my mystique. Zeng inhaled so sharply he choked. Yun let out a sound that wasn't a sob and wasn't a laugh and was somehow both. Hey, he croaked, throat dry. Still here. Han sagged back on his heels. Oh, good, he said breezily. You lived. I was almost out of speeches. Bite made an outraged trill and shoved his face directly against Zeng's mouth like how dare you stop providing me environmental stability for 46 seconds. Zeng tried to move his hand up to Bite's head. His arm felt like stone. Yun caught his wrist, guided it, set his palm where Bite wanted it. Don't try to sit up yet, she said roughly. If you sit up and then fall again I'll be annoyed and I'll take it out on Han. Unfair, Han said mildly. You deserve it, Yun said without looking at him. Han conceded that with a hum. Zeng swallowed hard. His vision was still fuzzy around the edges. Lantern light threw warm pools across gouged stone. The air smelled like oil and old incense and smoke and salt. Background noise, voices. Many. Not Tianlin voices. The sky market wasn't quiet anymore. News had traveled fast. He could hear the low rush of conversation layered on conversation, like waves hitting rock under cover. He turned his head a fraction. Immediately regretted. The world lurched. He winced. Yun's thumb brushed along his cheekbone, grounding him. Don't, she repeated. Listen first. See later. He breathed. Okay, he rasped. Status. Han let out a breath. Alright, he said. Good news first. I love good news, Zeng crowed. Tianling is on, Han said. Nobody fell. Nobody got taken by echo hands. Nobody got ripped loose crossing the scene. The patch stalled at the edge for now. The market took you in, which means they didn't throw you all off the dock. That was not a guarantee. Zeng let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Everyone's alive. Yes, Yun said quietly. The way she said it made his chest hurt. Everyone. He shut his eyes for a second. Relief hit so hard it made his jaw shake. Okay, he whispered. Okay. Bad news? Han blew out a breath through his teeth. Bad news, he said, is we're not alone out here. Zeng cracked one eye open. We knew that, he muttered. Echo hands, hunters, patchlight. Han shook his head. No, he said softly. Not patch. Not core. Something else. A cold ripple worked its way down Zeng's spine. Han, he said very quietly. Define something else. Han didn't grin this time. Han didn't smirk, or wink, or lean on bravado like a cane. Han Fei, who had smiled at a hunter while cutting its leash, looked genuinely, quietly unsettled. When you were out, he said, voice low, the market sent scouts to run perimeter. That's normal. We just dragged an unregistered village into a contraband sanctuary. Everyone wants to know if we were followed. They expected hunters. They expected eyes. They expected patch spill. Zeng swallowed. And? Han nodded toward the edge of the dock. Only then did Zeng realize that there were more people there than just Sky Market roughs and Tianling villagers. 3 figures he didn't recognize stood near one of the thick anchored cables that tethered this platform to the next. They weren't from Tianling. They weren't in traveler leathers like Han's allies either. Their clothes weren't practical, they were ceremonial. Long dark coats reinforced with faint sigil stitched plating. Sleeves bound back with cord. Masks covering their faces from the eyes down, not patch smooth, not hunter blank, but carved. Human hands had made those masks, and human hands had painted them with old ink. Each of them wore a different mask. One painted like a fox. One like a weeping woman. One like a screaming bird. Zeng stared. Who? He said, voice barely more than air. Han's jaw clenched. Ghostwalkers, he said quietly. Zeng blinked. That sounds friendly. It's not, Han said. They don't answer to heaven. And they don't answer to the core. Zeng frowned. Then who? Han met his eyes. They answer to the dead. Something cold bloomed in Zeng's stomach. Yun's hand tightened around his wrist. The market says, Han went on, voice low, that when heaven first started rolling people out of memory, something answered from the places those people should have been. When the patch overrode grief, the grief didn't vanish. It cooled. It learned to stand. It started walking. Zeng swallowed. That sounds like a rumor. Han shook his head once. I used to think so too, he said. Then I watched one walk through a sect ward like it wasn't there. Zeng stared at the 3 masked figures. The one in the fox mask tilted their head, the movement graceful and precise. The one in the weeping woman mask had their hands folded in their sleeves, very still. The one in the screaming bird mask leaned forward just an inch, like scenting. They weren't looking at Han. They were looking at him. Zeng felt his pulse climb. Why? He whispered, are they here? Han exhaled. Because word travels, he said. And word is, a living anomaly who can tell heaven no just stole an entire village out of the ledger and dragged it past rollback, and in doing that, he tore open gaps in the wall. His mouth worked, but it wasn't a smile. And when you tear open a wall, he said softly, everything on the other side starts noticing. Zeng swallowed hard. Fei, he whispered. Tell me something. Han arched an eyebrow. If the patch wants me dead, Zeng said quietly, and the core wants me alive. He nodded toward the ghost walkers. What do they want? Han's smile came back, brief and sharp. That, he said, is what we're about to find out. Yun squeezed Zeng's wrist once, then leaned close enough that her forehead almost touched his. Don't, she whispered, low and fierce, try to stand up without me. He swallowed. Yes, healer. Her mouth twitched. She straightened, shoulders rolling back, jaw set. Madame Shen, who had not moved far and had not put down her knives, said without looking at anyone in particular, "If any of them touches him without asking, I'll start cutting." The woman with the fox mask laughed, low and musical. Han sighed. "Great," he muttered. "Perfect first impression." Zeng drew in one more unsteady breath, wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, and pushed himself up on his elbows. His body screamed protest. His vision swam. He did it anyway. Because a month-old god had just asked him not to die. Because an entire village was watching him as proof the world could say no. Because whatever those masked things were, he was done letting anyone stand over him while he lay on his back. "Okay," Zeng rasped, voice cracked but steady enough. He lifted his head and met the fox mask's gaze. "I'm awake," he said. "Let's talk."